Wife of 6 years had 6-month affair with ex and destroyed our relationship. What a wild train journey it's been. I'm 33 years old and I'm going through a difficult divorce. I thought I'd share my experience to assist understand the numbness and grief I'm experiencing and to assess how this train wreck occurred. My wife and I used to work together 9 years ago. We were instantly drawn to one another from the moment we met, sparks flew, and we hit it off. I dated a lot in my early 20s, but there was something about her that made me feel comfortable and happy. We chose to marry after dating and living together for many years. Even when I proposed, it didn't seem right to me. We had an open relationship mostly because she desired that lifestyle and, regrettably, agreed to go along with it. Never marry if you are in a polyamorous relationship. Things began to alter immediately after our marriage. With our open marriage, we established a rule that we would only have fun with common friends and that we would discuss agreements ahead of time. My wife confessed to spending a night with her ex-boyfriend just before we purchased our house, and she subsequently stated there was no protection. I was heartbroken. That's when all my trust vanished, and even though I still loved her, I no longer felt appreciated. I chose to place the house exclusively in my name. We purchased it before we were married, but this comes into play later in our divorce procedure. I continued to advance in my work and felt my wife was content. Slowly but steadily, the bedroom pleasure began to seem like a job, and I could sense she was leaving. I should also say that before to our relationship, my wife had a very high body count of males. She yanked the rug out from under me 2 years ago, soon after the epidemic began, and told me she wanted to break away from me and wasn't frightened of providing for herself. She engaged a spiritual coach with the expectation of achieving the same level of achievement straight immediately. Today, she is still striving to build her coaching company. Being self-sufficient isn't simple, is it, hon? It also doesn't feel good with all the debasing and treating me like trash while I continued to financially support her. She used a lot of emotional manipulation to get me to continue providing for and paying for her lifestyle. She persuaded me to sleep in different beds, which I did in order to give her the space she said she needed. At that moment, I should have booted her out of the home. About a year ago, she reunited with the ex-boyfriend with whom she had an affair. To add to my anguish, she chose to commit to a relationship with him while we were still married. Looking back, I'm disgusted with myself for not sticking up for myself at the time and for continuing to let it. She would often provide me love and intimacy here and there in order to keep me unaware of any of my dignity or self-respect, so I played along in order to get any kind of contact with her. I was utterly to her and she became my whole universe. Last spring, I brought her to Hawaii for a week, and that was the tipping point. It was my last-ditch effort to win her back. We even had a professional couples picture session and had a terrific time together. I could see she was still committed in her AP, however. She mentioned she missed her AP not even a day after we returned from our vacation. I was once again disappointed that she could so quickly discard the time and energy we had just spent together. This is where I began to reclaim my dignity. I determined to play up to my image in order to divorce her as undamaged as possible. It's hardly unexpected that she and her partner chose to live together last summer. This is when I mentioned to my wife that I wanted an uncontested divorce. She had strong emotions for her AP, so when I stipulated that I would get the complete equity on the property, my bank accounts, and retirement funds, she consented. After another weekend of vacationing with her AP, I allowed her a week to decide, and she signed the stipulation in front of a notary, and I filed it the same day. She ended up going out to the bar with her AP that night, getting dressed up, and having another personal experience with him, I presume in celebration? Yes, I felt like a cherished spouse. My wife was unable to get lodging with her AP as scheduled 3 weeks later. Now that she is aware of her situation, she has filed a move with the court to reject our agreement and proceed to mediation. What a surprise. I then hired a lawyer, and we appeared in court multiple times. My wife never hired an attorney because she believed her spiritual beliefs informed her she didn't need one. Well, it turns out she lost her case and sought to file an incorrect second motion with her newly hired counsel, which she also lost a few weeks ago. She has now filed an objection to the judge's hearing. My attorneys are optimistic that the objection will be dismissed as well, allowing the final divorce documents to be signed. I've accumulated up $10,000 in legal expenses, but my wife also has a lot of bills and may be able to ask for my fees to be reimbursed if I win, but I'll probably pay my own anyhow. Update: I should also mention that in her second motion, which she filed with her lawyers, she made up falsehoods about me coercing and lying to her. Things like how I encouraged her not to get a lawyer because it was too expensive. The commissioner saw right through that BS and refused her, and I'm hoping the court will as well. When my lawyer reviewed the motion with me, he told me there was no hope of reconciliation. In addition, the hearing before the judge was just set on April 5th. The final line is getting closer and closer. When you write it all out, it almost looks too ludicrous to be real. I'm doing my best to endure the present by remaining focused on my profession and trying to enjoy the piano and my other interests so I don't worry about it. It doesn't help that my wife shows signs of wanting me back, but the past is just too hard to reconcile. I know I can find another partner that loves and respects me, but for the time being, I'm stuck and heartbroken by this path. Finally, I just want to go on with my life, and maybe one day I'll laugh about it all. The world unfolds in an intriguing manner. I hope karma works as intended. Also, do you have any tips for getting her out of the house? I feel like I can't legally push her out till we're formally divorced. She has told me many times that she is afraid I would throw her out. At the same time, she informs me that she has alternate living arrangements in mind, but nothing has come to fruition. Story 2. Finding out my girlfriend was cheating on me the entire time we were together. For the first time in my life, I fell in love with a lady I believed was my soulmate. I went above and above for her. While on vacation in another state, I met a lady on Tinder. We began conversing, and I felt a strong connection with her. Our chats flowed smoothly. I returned to the state where I met her a month later, and we had a great weekend together. At the conclusion of the journey, I told her I loved her. I attempted to see her every 2 months or less. She expected me to pay for everything, from the hotel rooms to the meals we shared. I didn't mind paying the money to visit her since I was madly in love with her. After a few months, I began to notice her mistreatment and emotional abuse of me. I was insulted and yelled at for not continuously borrowing her money. Throughout our relationship, I spent $30,000 on travel, hotels, presents for her, and activities. She would have breakdowns where she would drive off and leave me on the side of the road, or she would attempt to crash us in the vehicle. One night, I was assaulted, I was punched in the chest, my ribs were bruised. I chose to end my relationship with her after the assault because I couldn't tolerate the mental and physical abuse any longer. After a few months of being friends, I reconnected with her with the promise that she had changed and would be good to me. After a few months, the emotional abuse resumed, and it became more worse than before. This went on for over 4 years, and I coped with the abuse by just accepting that this is who she is and that I loved her. After almost 4 years of dating, I discovered she had been prostituting the whole time. She had cheated on me several times over the years and had always tried to keep it a secret, claiming that it was her second job and that it was none of my business. I broke up with her again after 10 months of not speaking with her, and I felt quite depressed without her, so I decided to try again. Within a month of leaving my state and relocating to her state, she was cheating again. I went back to my state, and we've been chatting as friends, but it's been really hard at times, and it seems like I just want to let go, but I'm afraid of letting go. I know I never want to be with her again, yet for some reason, I can't stop talking to her. It was really difficult to go through all of this, and I've been keeping single and working on myself, but I believe I need to truly let go in order to properly recover. I'm left with severe trust difficulties, as well as anguish, dread, regrets, and debt. I need a lot of love and support.